For me to invite you here to the launch of our School for Data Science and Computational Thinking. Special word of welcome to our Rector and Vice-Chancellor, all the Deputy Vice-Chancellors are here, I see, all the Deans, also our Chief Operating Officer, other members of the Rectorate, a warm welcome. Minister Bladen Zamandi could unfortunately not be here in person, but has sent us his address, and which I will show shortly. Special word of welcome also to Dr. Danny Adams, who's the Deputy Director General in the Department of Science and Technology, someone who's familiar with this building. At least we have had many meetings here before, but a hearty welcome. He came down especially from Pretoria this afternoon, just landed a few hours ago, and he's already on his way again early tomorrow morning. Thanks for being here. Also, a welcome to all our chief directors, our senior directors, our directors of institutes and centers of excellence, and also a special word of welcome to John Makomberanwa from Standard Bank. Standard Bank, in fact, were one of the first companies that entered into a relationship with the school, and they will be sponsoring a lab in data science, and we're very excited that they are here and that they are also on board. All our industry representatives, I see a number of CEOs here and chairpersons of boards of big companies, which I don't want to single out because the list is long. It will keep us here for a while. The council members and all of you who are our special guests here this evening. And also, last but not least, also the members of the press that are attending this historical event. So tonight we are launching the Stellenbosch University School for Data Science and Computational Thinking. The school started as an idea of our Vice-Chancellor and Rector, and we worked relentlessly for the past 18 months to in fact get this school off the ground. In fact, when we studied the rules of schools, institutes and centers, we soon realized that our rules did in fact not cater for the type of school that we wanted to erect. So there was also a process that had to go on to establish a type 3 school, which is an interfaculty school. So the school is not in a particular faculty. It cuts across all the faculties. So we made a plan to change a regulation at the university. Believe me, is not an easy thing to do. It has to go through a whole number of structures, and I'm not going to bore you with that. But eventually we had that approval. Then we also had to, and part of the rules determine that all the faculties also have to support such an initiative. It's never been done before, so we had to get the buy-in from all the faculties. So all the faculties and all the deans support the school. And this is really important. And council approved this new school at their previous, or the last council meeting that we had earlier on this year. So we are here tonight to talk to you about the school. The program is pretty straightforward. I've done the welcoming. Professor Wim de Villiers will address us, and then Professor Wim Delver. I'll say something about him also, the interim director of the school. Will tell you more about the school, and then I will then switch over to the speech by our minister. After that, we'll conclude the event and we will just relax and network and have something to eat and drink. Now, my experience of data science really started. I'm not a data scientist, I'm a microbiologist. As a statistics student, we had to do statistics 1. And I remember the professor asked the question to the class. He said, well, and all of you that took statistics will know this. You've got this black bag, and inside the bag, you've got 6 blue balls and 4 red balls. So what are the chances that when you put your hand in the bag, that you would take out a red ball? So the student had his hand up immediately. He said, no problem, professor. Your chances are 50-50. You either have it or you don't have it. And that's about how far as what my data science goes. There are many algorithms to calculate the exact probability of getting that red ball out of the black bag. So, Professor de Villiers, this is your idea, a shared idea, by the way. His vision, his idea, and he can say himself what he expects from the school. Welcome, colleagues. And I invite you up to the podium to share with us your ideas, Professor de Villiers.
Thank you very much, Eugene, and good evening, folks. Goeienaand aan almal, Morweni, Kilikili. A warm welcome to all of you. It's a cold, dark, wet evening out there, but I must tell you, my heart is beating very warm at the moment because I'm very excited about this. It's a very special occasion for us. It's the keenly anticipated launch of the Stellenbosch University School of Data Science and Computational Thinking. Quite a mouthful. So you notice on the program at the back here, it seems there's a very welcome development in the university. There's a natural profusion of VIMs now. There's more than one VIM. It's a very welcome. So you colleagues, those of you who've heard me speak over the last year, you know that I've not let a single opportunity pass to punt this initiative. I spoke about it at every occasion, and sometimes I even neglected my own specific discipline, gastroenterology, and not mention that in the speech and would speak about data science. But there's a very simple reason for the importance that we have attached to it, and that's not only for me, but also colleagues throughout the university. And that is, we all know this, but the world is changing fast, and we believe that the School of Data Science and Computational Thinking is Stellenbosch University's stake in the unfolding future. Data het werklik omwenteling in die hele wêreld teweeggebring en die Universiteit Stellenbosch is gereed om met hierdie nuwe skool vir datawetenskap en die vertaling van computational thinking is rekenaardenke. Die nuwe skool vir datawetenskap en rekenaardenke Suid-Afrika se mededingendheid in die 4de nywerheidsrevolusie te versterk. So my interest in data science and computational thinking was piqued by developments in my own field of medicine and health sciences. So take medical diagnostics, for instance. IBM's artificial intelligence platform, Watson Health, was tested at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York a few years ago. So Watson was found to be capable of predicting lung cancer with greater accuracy compared to highly trained and experienced radiologists under the same circumstances. Watson could rapidly analyze massive amounts of data. 2 million pages of medical journals, 1.5 million patient records, and 600,000 medical findings, and then apply its synthesis to patients' CT scans in order to reach its conclusions. A level of information absorption that clearly surpasses human ability. So I'm going to come back to Watson in a little bit. The generation of data has really exploded the past few years. Faster, cheaper computers, smartphones, internet, lately the Internet of Things, and all these developments have made the gathering, sharing, and exploitation of data pervasive in almost all sectors, from finance and commerce to health, biosciences, engineering, and many others. But because of this, information in this age of big data, information has really become difficult to handle because of sheer quantity. And one response in the world of work has been to set up multidisciplinary teams to tackle shared problems. And this is particularly true of activities involving data and computing. And as I've said, nowadays it's almost everything due to its pervasive nature. So that's one side. But what is now the challenge for universities in all of this? Because higher education institutions the world over are now struggling with the challenges of new technology. In South Africa itself, the body representing our 26 public universities, Universities South Africa, has set up an additional task force focusing on the new world of work. And at many universities, including Stellenbosch, New courses have emerged and new degree programs have been introduced to meet the needs of the industry and business and to equip students to thrive in this uncertain future where they are likely to work themselves in occupations that do not even exist yet. So is this good enough? Shouldn't universities change more fundamentally? And it is an old chestnut, but we know that, and Prof. Klutter alluded to this somewhat, the glacial speed with which universities move, that it is said that it's easier to change the course of history than a history course at a university. But it is so that there's a growing interdisciplinary approach at a number of top universities internationally. And we visited one of these last year, amongst others, the University of California, UC Berkeley. And UC Berkeley delivers more graduates to Silicon Valley than any other higher education institution. And they have now, in a very innovative way, introduced data science as a subject of choice in certain fields of study. And what has emerged over the last 2 or 3 years, since they've started doing this, is that more than 50% of their first years are now doing data science as a major from their first year, in some very unusual combination with a wide variety of other subjects. It might be modern languages, it might even be a number of other, a wide variety, geography, history, etc., with a wide variety of other subjects. So does this now necessarily mean that everybody should now study data science instead of other areas of study? I don't think so at all. Because I think, firstly, it's important to realize that data science is not computer science, but it's an interdisciplinary area of study. Secondly, data, we're being faced with data in numerous areas, numerous disciplines, and therefore it really makes sense for us to equip students to have the necessary competencies, the ability to really handle data and really how to hoe om met data om te gaan. And these competencies are not only limited to math or programming, computer programming. There are many very important ethical questions that are important also when we mine data, such as privacy, implications for the rights to privacy, and also the effects of technology thereof, and how that might be compromised. So those are those 3 points why not everybody should necessarily do that, but it's widely applicable, and the important notion that it's not data science, it's not computer science, but it's data science. The other point is that the World Economic Forum and the Organization for Economic Collaboration and Development, they compiled a list of the crucial competencies for the world of work for the 21st century. And this included not only digital literacy, the ability to solve problems and entrepreneurship, but it also included creativity and critical thinking, empathy and ethical reasoning, cooperation, and also the building of relationships. So I think you'll all be very happy. There's very much still a place for the humanities in universities of the future. So we have already equipped our students in all 10 of Stellenbosch University's faculties with these abilities. But this evening, we're launching a single platform where all of these things really come together so that we can go forward in the future world of work. But this is, people say we're at the at the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution, but that's not true. We're really in the midst of it as I stand here tonight. So the US academic and university manager Jeffrey Buller pointed out in 2015 that the choice in higher education today isn't whether we should change, but how. Change is already here, and the issue is what are we going to do about it. So at Stellenbosch University, we responded to this challenge by adopting new rules on academic entities within and alongside departments and faculties, a long word, last year. And this has paved the way for the establishment of our new School for Data Science and Computational Thinking. And I was told this is really happened at lightning speed for a university. So we believe that the Stellenbosch University School for Data Science and Computational Thinking is a game changer in higher education, both in South Africa and beyond. We visited a number of institutions in the United States last year where they are grappling with the challenges that this discipline really thrown in universities' way. We visited Northwest University, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. We visited Stanford, University of Minnesota, as well as I said, UC Berkeley. But why do we say that the Stellenbosch University School for Data Science and Computational Thinking will be a game changer? And there are 4 reasons. Firstly, the school will work across all 10 of our faculties. There will be multi, inter, and transdisciplinary collaboration. Secondly, the school will span the entire academic project, from under and postgraduate training to research and specialist consultation. Thirdly, it will also support the private and public sectors as a trusted and respected partner in and for Africa. And fourthly, it will not only cater for full-time students, but it will also offer online modules to professionals looking for new methods and best practices. So, this school is a tangible expression of our university's new vision and strategic plan, which kicked in this year. Because we have a bold and ambitious Vision 2040, and that's to become Africa's leading research-intensive university, globally recognized as excellent, inclusive, and innovative, where we advance knowledge in service of society. And in this strategic plan, we state unequivocally that we want to bring out profound and sustainable change and regeneration in all facets and functions of Stellenbosch University, to be agile, adaptive, and responsive, so that we can make meaningful contributions of the highest quality to our country, our continent, and also the rest of the world. And this, colleagues, is what I believe exactly what our new school will help us do. Together, we are making this old institution now a centenarian. We will help to make this old institution more agile, adaptive, and responsive. So, President Ramaphosa established a commission on the fourth industrial revolution earlier this year, and he said, and I quote, "Unless we adapt, unless we understand the nature of the profound change that is reshaping our world, and unless we readily embrace the opportunities it presents, the promise of our nation's birth will forever remain unfulfilled." Unquote. So, I'm confident that our new School for Data Science and Computational Thinking is our university's answer to this challenge, and we're really committed to going forward with all the stakeholders, government, industry, other universities, civil society, to the mutual benefit of all. So now back to Watson. So I told you that Watson is a smart machine able to make accurate diagnoses because it's immense processing power and clever algorithms. And it can also make treatment recommendations. But, and this is very important, the machine is neither infallible in its diagnosis, nor can it take ethical responsibility for the hard decisions that follow. One, such as the decision whether to proceed with a biopsy, which is an invasive procedure and therefore not without risk. And then whether to go ahead with surgery or radiation or chemotherapy, all of which could be more harmful than helpful. So I'm glad to say, for these complex and nuanced questions, humans are indispensable. No algorithm could replace human judgment. There's no app for human values. And humans make the world, not machines. But I think what better way for a university to shape the future than by combining our strengths through bringing together all our disciplines so scattered across 10 faculties, that this school now provides a single platform for collaboratively advancing knowledge in service of society in a very interdisciplinary way. So we're very excited about it. I hope you share my enthusiasm. So will there be challenges? Of course. But as Daniel Burnham, the American architect who took a leading role in the development of a number of cities, including Chicago after the 1906 earthquake and also Washington, D.C., as he once said, "Make no little plans, for they have no magic to stir men's blood." And I hope our new school has stirred your blood and will continue to do so. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor de Villiers. So die skool gebeur nie net sommer nie. Ons moes nie net die reëls verander nie. Maar ons het 'n klomp mense gehad oor al die fakulteite heen wat moes saamwerk om die skool op te rig. Hulle sê as jy saamwerk en daar's verloorders, dan is daar nie samewerking nie. So you can't collaborate and have losers because then there's no collaboration. So there was a task team, a big task team of more than 30 people that got together on a regular basis. And a crucial part of that was to design a business plan for the school. Now again, the rules determine that any new entity like this must have a business plan which has to be approved throughout the university system. So in December of last year, we got together and we got 2 facilitators and we worked on this business plan which was accepted by the rectorate and all the other structures. But we had no one to drive that process or to implement it, excepting myself, but I also have a day job. So we appointed Professor Wim Delva as an interim director and someone who could in fact now take this business plan, and he was deliberately not part of writing that business plan because he would have perhaps influenced it so that it would be easier to implement, but nevertheless. So since January, we have had him on board as the interim director and project manager for this. And Wim, I'm going to hand over to you. He played a significant role in the past 6 months to bring us to where we are today. Wim, over to you.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to explain to you in a little bit more detail what our plans are with the school. And to make sure we're all on the same page, I want to just check that we all understand the same thing when we talk about data science. So I'm sure there are many definitions that you can find online. And I typically tend to show this slide because I think it's a helpful way of thinking about it. So by design, data science is a highly interdisciplinary field. And it can be approached from many areas. We have statisticians, computer scientists, engineers, mathematicians, who all hold part of the keys to a successful data science enterprise. But very importantly, there is also what is described here as domain knowledge. Because data science seeks to address real-life problems. And so it's not an abstract mathematical problem. There is that. There is the science of data science, and there's nothing wrong with inventing new algorithms or new ways of solving abstract, hard problems. But in the end, they must be applied to create tangible solutions for the challenges that we face as a country or as a world. So we need the economists, and we need the language specialists, we need doctors, we need theologists, we need psychologists and biologists to say, here are the things that we are struggling with. We think we have a solution, but it's too slow. It's going to take 2 years to run my laptop, and then perhaps I get an answer. Help us. And this is where the value of the collaboration is. As you have noticed, the school has a very long name. It's Data Science and Computational Thinking. And that's partially to differentiate ourselves from other initiatives, but it's also to remind us that there are perhaps some areas where we can think of data science as somebody who punches in numbers into a keyboard and makes a digital version of a hard copy, and that's probably not yet data science. So when is it really data science? It's when we also adopt fundamental mindsets and structured approaches to solving the problem, and they are summarized on my right-hand side. So typically, you would, if you have a hard problem, you would say, let's not try to solve the entire problem in one go, let's decompose it into smaller problems. Maybe this problem looks like a problem I've already solved. So if I can recognize patterns from the past, that can help me solve, and I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Abstraction, there's a lot of data, and there's probably a signal, but there's also noise. So if we can reduce the noise, we have a clearer signal to work with, and a better solution that will have more predictive value. And algorithm design, what we are doing, can we condense it? Can we describe it in a logical flow so that we can have a recipe for the next problem that may come along? These two areas, data science and computational thinking, they are not independent. They complement each other and they feed off each other. So if you have a fairly simple data science problem, you may get away with not so much computational thinking. But the harder it gets, the more important it will be to really have a solid computational thinking process behind it. And on the other hand, the people who are pushing the envelope in computational thinking, they really need ever harder data science problems and ever bigger data sets. So as we've heard already, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, the school is unique in that it is on the one hand, a standalone entity that is not part of any of the 10 faculties in this university, but at the same time, it's not just an 11th faculty for a number of reasons. The most important reasons is that its mandate and its mission is really to be strongly connected with all the 10 other faculties, which is way more than any other faculty has in its mission statement. The other reason is that the typical academic programs, undergraduate, postgraduate programs that are listed in your brochure that are on data science will still be offered within the 10 faculties, and the school will not be handing out bachelor or master's degrees in data science. But that doesn't mean that the school has no role to play in these programs. We will support them, we will facilitate them, we will contribute to them, and also very importantly for prospective students, we will be a roadmap to all the options that exist, because it may be quite confusing at the moment. If you Google Stellenbosch University data science, a lot of things will pop up, and it may be confusing to find out how are they different, what should I study if I want to become a data scientist in a certain application area. So our role as a school is to connect people, to support people, and to accelerate research and training in all the faculties of this university. To be an interface to the outside world, then that can mean the prospective student, but it also certainly means the businesses, the government departments, the not-for-profit organizations, and the funders of the work that we do. Right now, it may, again, be challenging for a company that feels a need for more data science or for a more academic underpinning to decide who shall I speak to. I know somebody in computer science, I've read something, the engineers also have experience in this, and there's also statisticians. And I'm not saying don't speak to them, but the school can be a facilitator and a coordinator so that you don't have to make a choice. Perhaps we can create a team of all of those environments to help solve your problem. Sorry. So, in broad terms, the school has three mandates: research, teaching and learning, and consulting. On the research side, as I've already said, our main goal is to facilitate and to take away bottlenecks that departments, individuals, or projects may experience. And in very practical terms, for instance, perhaps there is a solution, but it requires a lot of computing time, and that means you need to now either buy hardware or you need to hire computer nodes in the cloud. And to avoid that all the individual researchers and departments negotiate their own deal with a cloud vendor, we can act as an interface and a spokesperson for the entire university to have a solid and sustainable agreement and collaboration with computer infrastructure providers. And here I've listed a number of areas that all the faculties are involved in and that are applications of data science. This is by no means a complete list, but just to give you a sense of the variation and also to indicate that this is not just a science initiative or an engineering initiative. No, it's a university-wide initiative. In the teaching and learning space, so we have the undergraduate programs and the postgraduate programs, most of which are listed in your brochure. And as we are growing, there are also still a lot of programs that are under development, and we have a dedicated page on the website where you will find links to all these programs. But we also envision that we want to create, let's say, teaching programs that are more future-proof in the sense that we want to cater for students and learners who are not necessarily able to spend full time on campus. And that can be an 18-year-old who is somewhere in a rural area in South Africa. But it can also be a professional who is employed by a company and who cannot afford to drop his job and his family for a few years to study data science. So we want to partner with experts in our faculty and with online learning platforms to offer standalone modules and tracks that may mature into postgraduate diplomas in data science and then really speak to the needs of the data science training within companies. Lastly, in the consulting space, we see that as a two-sided venture. On the one side, we feel there's a very strong need, internal need from researchers, postgraduate students, from all faculties to say, I've consulted a statistician, my stats problems, I think I'm on top of that, but still there is still a data science challenge. And it can be fairly, let's say, trivial, mundane. It can be, I don't know how to manipulate this data and get it into the right format, or it can be way more advanced than that. But so we want to offer is an in-house service so that people with data science and computational challenges within their field of research can find a way to get support. And also over time we want to open up those services to external partners. Lastly, I want to invite you all from wherever you are, whether it's government or businesses or other academic institutions or societal organizations, to knock on our door and explain to us what your challenges are and how you think we can partner. Because this is a journey that is very exciting, but we can't do it together. We really need to work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Delva. And by the way, the building you see behind me there is the home of the School for Data Science and Computational Thinking. So now I, first of all, would want to acknowledge the Honourable Minister Bladen Zimandi. I want to thank him. I will also do so personally when I meet him for the trouble that he went to in fact prepare a special message for us this evening. So I'm going to ask our technical person to get him up there and let's listen to what he has to say.
Professor Delva, the Dean of the School, and the Executive Management and other deans present, students, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to this historic occasion. Historic both in terms of the University of Stellenbosch as well as for our university system generally. I really would have liked to be part of this important launch, but due to unforeseen and urgent developments, I could not be able to be with you. It is an honor and privilege for me to be part of the launch of the new School for Data Science and Computational Thinking at the Stellenbosch University. Data science is a young profession and academic discipline. First coined in 2001 by William Cleveland, with its popularity exploding since 2010, data science as an academic discipline was pushed by the need for teams of people to analyze the big data that corporations and governments are collecting. Indeed, at the dawn of the fourth industrial revolution, fears are often expressed that computers will replace human beings. The reality is, in many fields, this is already happening. This includes the scientific domains of human and society, health, biological and food security, earth and environment, materials and manufacturing and energy. For these intricate advancements, humans are indispensable with their judgment and creativity is irreplaceable. However, it would be senseless not to use machines to perform tasks at which they are faster and better than human beings. Our government share a common vision on education and training as being the key to sustainable human and socio-economic development. We have all in various ways adopted and implemented programs and strategies to ensure the responsiveness and quality of our educational systems at all levels. At the same time, we need to ensure that those who do not have the necessary and requisite skills in the current labor market do not get left further behind as the fourth industrial revolution gains momentum. Therefore, our task as government and universities is to prepare our youth, and others for that matter, for the skills of the future, which includes, amongst others, robotics, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, and 3D printing. It is clear that the current big data challenges emanating from these domains require a wide range of new skills, policies and practices, technologies, and legal frameworks. Fast broadband networks, trusted repositories, and nationally accepted practices are required. That's why we further welcome last week's announcement by the Minister of Communications and Digital Technology, Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, on the release of the spectrum on 4G as a step towards a transition to 5G. Collaboration between government, universities, civil society, labor, and business is needed to shape an agenda that ensures we advance in an inclusive manner. This places our universities in a better, if not unique, position to take up these challenges of creating these skills in order to grow and develop our economy. It is your task as a university to prepare our students for the new world of work, where the discovery of useful knowledge from data will become integral to most of what students do in future. As South Africa, we are currently considered one of the most technologically advanced countries in Africa, and we were rated the most innovative region in sub-Saharan Africa in the 2019 Global Innovation Index. It therefore brings me joy that the Stellenbosch University has joined the likes of the Solvay University and Wits in launching this program. As government, we particularly welcome the decision by the Stellenbosch University to make the school a standalone school within the university, and the fact that it will offer distance and online tuition for those students who are unable to be at the university. I am particularly excited about this approach. As government, we committed ourselves to position science and technology as a catalyst towards faster economic growth, both in the immediate term and over the next 10 years, as per the directive of the National Development Plan. We committed ourselves to build the science and technology pipeline and to broaden the participation to include women, including girl children and learners, youth, and people with disabilities in science and technology. This is the reason why President Cyril Ramaphosa, amongst other things, made a decision to place the Departments of Higher Education and Training and Science and Technology under a single ministry. We commit to work closer with yourselves to develop local research capacity in these targeted areas to create an enabling environment for localization of these technologies and innovations. On our part, we have approved the Human Capital Development Strategy for research, innovation and scholarships, and we continue to financially resource its implementation. Together with our public entities, we continue to provide funding to support postgraduate research students through the National Research Fund, National Skills Fund managed by Self-Fund as well. This includes bursaries for undergraduate studies through the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. For the past 5 years, we also have been funding the Data Science for Impact and Decision Enhancement Program for capacity building. In this period, more than 190 third and fourth year students, as well as honors and master's students, have gone through the program at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the CSIR's Naraka Institute. Under the Tutuba program, we supported 1,135 emerging researchers with research grants in the 2017-18 financial year. 83% of the grant recipients were Black and 63% were women. We, however, remain concerned that a significant number of Black and women researchers and academics are not seeking research funding from the National Research Fund. I will be receiving a report in this regard which I will make public. In collaboration with other government departments, we have increased the number of co-funded research chairs in strategic scientific domains from 199 in 2016 to 226 in 2018. Through the National Intellectual Property Management Office and the Technology Innovation Agency, TIA, we will convert all the research ideas into marketable products and services. We will also upscale our grassroots innovation work following our pilot phase that shows how best to design and deliver support to grassroots innovators. We intend to grow this grassroots innovation support to at least 100 beneficiaries through partnerships with universities and other structures as well, in line with the goal of strengthening our systems of innovation. As Professor Wim de Villiers, the Vice Chancellor, said in his opinion piece titled Big Data, a Game Changer for Universities, published on the 25th of July 2019 in the Mail and Guardian newspaper. said that it is easier to change the course of history than it is to change a history course. But the world is changing fast, and universities have to adapt. For centuries, universities have been organized along distinct disciplinary lines. But data science and computational thinking exceeds the boundaries of traditional academic fields of study and looks set to revolutionize current academic and professional paradigms, unquote. I can't agree more with Professor de Villiers. In fact, these technological advancements further open up opportunities for multidisciplinary studies, integrating natural, mathematical, health, and social sciences. For you as the University of Stellenbosch, you are adapting and placing yourselves at the center of responding to the fourth industrial revolution and its dictates. However, we do not only have to respond, but also to be innovators ourselves for the fourth industrial revolution. I congratulate you for this futuristic, progressive, and transformative move. I thank you.
Well, we really appreciate the support that we also have from our minister and the representatives that are here from the department this evening. So we have come virtually to the end of the formal proceedings. Before I invite you for some drinks and something to eat, I want to convey my sincere gratitude, first of all, to the task team for their relentless work, to the deans for their support, our corporate communications division, which helped us to arrange this evening tonight. It's much appreciated. Also to virtually everyone in every corner of this university. This school has created an immense amount of excitement in all of our faculties. If you just look at the 8 new degree programs that came about over the past 18 months, I think it's a record, both at the undergraduate and at the postgraduate level. Many thanks also to Professor Delver, who has worked hard during the past 6 months. I think after tonight he will relax a bit and we will have less frequent meetings. So thank you, Wim. And also I'd like to thank the Woodworks Marinda Band, who has entertained us, and they will keep on entertaining us as we have our drinks. So now, it gives me great pleasure to formally announce the establishment of the School for Data Science and Computational Thinking, and I invite you all to enjoy something to eat and to drink, and thank you for being here. Thank you very much.